my YouTube channel, Protector of the Realm, Preston
Kuru,
Vaughan.
you know, sometimes you get some Kuru, and then you just
Yeah, we got a couple. Yeah, we got a guest on today. We might have another guest come in. Got Zach with us, and our normal host, Nate here, Highlight, and myself, Protector of the Realm, Preston Vaughan. The podcast number 2, Deceivers and Believers. We're going to be talking about flat Earth and some current events. What's going
we could
on
call
in the world today?
it could be the fat Earth, you know. Just, Earth is fat, man.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the signs of it, so
looks fat.
So
I don't know.
yeah, mostly what I talk about on my channel is flat Earth. So I want to mainly have a podcast that's kind of centered around the Earth and the sky, because I think the subject dispels a lot of other conspiracies and topics that are come about. I was talking about this the other day to somebody, that you'll meet a conspiracy theorist who's not into flat Earth and a conspiracy theorist who is into flat Earth, and the things that they like to talk about are two different things. Where the low believers into more methodological pseudoscience and stuff that they're wasting their time on, completely wasting their time on, and then with the flat Earth people, they immediately see the stuff that the other person's wasting their time on. In my opinion,
Yeah.
like wondering a lot about a lot of things that will never be able to prove. And that's where I like flat Earth, because it's something we can all kind of concretize and grasp and feel a part of it, and it's something we all experience. Where like we can all guess if Bill Hicks is Alex Jones, but we never really know. Like we can all talk about it. It's fun to talk about it, but we can all say I experience no movement.
Well, the weird thing is how he admits it on.
Oh yeah.
You know, he's like, I'm Alex Jones, or I'm Bill Hicks. He's like, wow, you're just saying it. That's odd.
Yeah. Sorry about background noise. My kid has autism and he stims a lot. So
you know, I find what it is a lot of this stuff is just common sense, right there in your face stuff, and all you have to do is not be. It's weird because people that preach, you know, optimism and positivity are actually like very pessimistic when it comes to just believing like what's right in front of their face. Like they just don't want to believe it, and it's right there. And I think that we're just like kind of realists. We see it. They gave you the message, and you're just like, I believe you. I see what you're saying, and I kind of just actually take them for their word. On it's interesting because there is misinformation mixed in, but a lot of it is just obvious. I don't know.
Yeah. Nate, you were asking him before we went live.
Yeah, I was gonna go into that. Yeah, Zach. So, how did you come to this truth? Where did you arrive at flat Earth and go, fuck, it's flat?
Oh man, yeah. So like I was saying earlier, I was on a 9/11 truth. You know, just browsing and seeing what people are talking about, not necessarily saying what I think or anything. And I noticed that people were arguing about the flat Earth, and it got me really intrigued as to, you know, it was interesting finding that there were people who were all unanimous on like 9/11, but when it came to where, you know, the Earth, you got these guys that are calling the other guys idiots, and it's just like it's a divisional tactic. It's to get people arguing about, you know, the ground they walk on is just the primary lie that gets everything. It seems to get everything else going. You know, it's this thing that you can endlessly just argue about while the machine, you know, is turning all the time, and you can't even agree. You know, me and my roommate, perfect example. He says he will never ever believe it, and there's nothing I can show him. There's nothing I can say, and I've thrown the book out every single little thing that proves it to me, shown it to him, and it doesn't matter. So that's a really hard thing to, you know, unfooling somebody. How do you unfool them without, you know, making it look like you're doing it for some kind of motive? Or, well, that's what I don't understand is in crime, there's always a motive. But like, what's my motive to convince you that the world is flat when I get nothing from it? Like, as far as no money, and in fact, you lose. A lot of stuff is at stake to be lost.
I tell people this all the time. You run into these non-theistic people. Like, I don't get how you get to this point in life where you don't like talking about things. Like,
yeah, and I mean, as far and you say things that I can prove. You know, I stay away from the God conversation because I just, as magnificent as the world is, I can't prove that there was actually any thing that created it. I can't prove that. Not saying that it's not possible, not saying that it doesn't happen, but
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
Since I can't really prove it, I think it's kind of a moot point. Like, whether I don't think it really matters if there's a God or not. You know, what matters is that you're here, and everything is here, and you're trying to maintain its existence. You know, continuance really is all that is. So I think all of these things seem divisional. You know, every topic is like something that people can argue about, and
it can be right.
Common group. You have to find the common ground, and that's. I think once we all realize that, yeah, NASA's lying and they're all lying, then we can all just come together and just go, hey, they're lying, and that's all we have to know. And that's what we're fighting against, is just people trying to deceive us, no matter who they are, God, Satan. It's just, it's a fact, you know, that we're being lied to about things.
I think with Flat Earth, was you're saying, like, the person that you were talking to that doesn't want to hear about it at all, you have to use different tools for different people. And then there's some people that are just non-theistic, where you might be able to bring Flat Earth to somebody with a religion, with the Bible. You might actually get it, but where, like, they might not be interested in looking at my sky observations or something like that. There's different, you can get them to read it, look at it. Like, there's different tools for it, for sure. I've just noticed that some people, you're right, are just impossible to talk to. And then,
he's smart. He's a brilliant guy, and he agrees with me on other stuff.
The most educated people I've noticed are rejectors of Flat Earth.
Yeah.
But you'll notice they're the ones that will truly come at you with, like, a pessimistic straw man. They're truly interested in it, and they see that there's problems with it, but they don't want to feel on an island by themselves, believing it and thinking it too. Those are the people that are truly interested. The ones that keep coming at you every other day, asking, well, what about this? Well, what about this?
Yeah.
They see something's wrong in their mind, but they're just not accepting it. Like, they're just so.
No, I've as a rideshare driver, you know, obviously started this conversation with people and gotten really far with some people, like, where they're just like, you know, I saw this all along, and you finally showed me some stuff that, like, actually makes sense. And all I wanted to see was something that made sense.
Yeah.
And you have, look, one thing that I show everyone the solar analemma, because I believe it gets things started, you know. It shows, like, a height to the sun. You know, the sun is either up high in that picture or it's down low, and you can show that. In my opinion, what's interesting is, if you can prove the sun is spiraling, then the definition of the word spiral proves that the Earth is flat, because it says that it's a winding in a continuously
wobble,
gradually or widening or tightening, either around a central point on a flat plane,
right,
or about an axis to form a cone, which is like, so. I mean,
the moon has an analemma too.
Yeah, I did not know that until you told me, and I looked it up, and it's really weird what it looks like. It looks like a teardrop shape.
Yeah, it's a little bit smaller than the sun's. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't go up high.
No, it's at a lower angle. The sun's at a much higher. The moon is still at there's are a lot of things in globe science that are still observably similar, like, but you can, by research, you can tell there's obviously holes in the distance game. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, just the NASA with the, you know, the 2 gigahertz band is reaching to the moon, you know, and it can't even reach 5 miles, like on Earth.
Yeah, the whole radio
Perfectly clear,
conversation. Yeah, with Nixon calling the moon. I had talked about that with McToon on their little debate. He was like, "Yeah, radio signals can go as far as they like, and you can get them right back." And I'm like, "But like, we lose signal all the time here talking to one another. And you call the moon?" And you
Yeah,
know,
and I love those proofs where they show like the delay, like they're they're acting like there's a delay, and then they forget. And then, there's like a 5-second, 10-second delay to get to talk to them. And when they talk back, the person interviewing them immediately responds. And yeah.
I've met these people. I think everybody's met somebody that knows somebody that works at NASA, right? Have you met these people? Have you never met anybody? Well, I guess I live in Texas, and it's home of Houston, blah 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 blah. But it happens often. I know somebody, and you don't want to accuse people of lying, but it's just so. I've seen people immediately use lies as their way to cognitively dissonant their argument.
Well, when do you lie the most? Like, if you ever lie, when do you lie? It's like when you're afraid.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You're afraid of the consequence, if you think that it'll relieve you of a consequence. So it's lying is based out of fear. What's beautiful about this, I have no fear in what I'm saying. So,
with the you were saying how they cut to people, and then they like how they celebrate the rocket launching and stuff like that. People were saying everybody would have to be in on it. See, do you think everybody inside that room is in on it, or do you think some of them actually believe it?
Well, we all know that these are the layers of the onion.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry, I got a call. It's like not everyone gets to go to the center and see what's hiding. We get like a very external view of stuff. You get to see the building, and you don't.
Well, I'm saying when they're in that room together saying, "Oh, the Mars rover landed." Do you think everybody in that room thinks that believes it, or that they're all acting?
I think they truly are as deceived as anyone else is. Like, whether they work there or not, I think that they're being shown the same CGI and they're falling for it.
So, you think the people that actually work inside the NASA building are not everybody's in on it, but they're being fooled too?
Well, there's this expectation that CGI and all that stuff is just okay. It's just that's what I'll see, and I think anybody can. I think even the graphic designers are just going, they might think, oh, we can't capture this view, so I've got to make it. Like, they may not even know. It's who's telling them to make a CGI depiction of something. I think it's your master. Whoever
seen that recently.
Whoever made up the plan of this thing.
Almost every time, they put something on TV that has some kind of space exploration or a launch. They always cut to a CGI scene. Like, why are you showing fake stuff on TV? Like, so
it's weird. Everyone seems to be afraid to be critical of stuff. I mean, it's like they don't want to. It's not cool to be critical, but there are moments in my life where my criticism of something has yielded something amazing for somebody, like as far as fixing something, or it's like people don't realize that you have to be critical to like identify something that's wrong before you can fix it.
Right.
So there's a bunch of people walking around with like leftover problems in their life that they never got to
the root
fix.
of.
They never got to the root, and if it's, I think making people feel more comfortable with questioning stuff, I think it would be helpful. I want to hear what this guy has to say too. I want to know what Nate. I want to hear. Let's hear your.
Hear Flat Earth story, Nate. How did you get into it?
Hold on, I'm writing. I got questions. You're on fire, mate. Zach, I just want to say, what you just said then was like, there was two things. Lying is based out of fear, and you have to be critical to be able to identify the problem. That innate concept that you just put forth is amazing for people to be able to understand and really take on and actually clean up areas of their life.
Yeah.
If they, can you just for the audience again repeat that last sentence and just explain that frame of reference of actually going out and looking for the things that are broken to fix physical nature helps you actually look at aspects of your life in a more constructive way?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've always been inquisitive. Anytime I saw something that didn't make sense, it always bugged me. You know, like even these questions about the Earth. When I was I find it interesting that going back and thinking about when I was a kid, how I had these same questions, like that just were never answered, even though they showed me an answer. It wasn't enough, you know.
I think
And
you're going like. It's just like that far. It's not.
They're
the
like,
whole
oh,
way.
the moon. You know, the moon is just showing the sun's light, and then you go, well, how come the sun's over here and the moon's light isn't even matching up? Like the shadow and stuff doesn't even match up with the sun.
Yeah, and
it's not really
it'll go
related.
the sun will go past the moon in one day, and like the phase never changes. Like so.
Yeah, and I love when people are like, you know, asking, you know, how come, you know, I can see the moon and the sun just like practically next to each other.
Yeah, why isn't it fully lit up?
Yeah. Why isn't it? Yeah. Or I've noticed some weird thing with the moon actually is that if you look at thermal images, so like essentially it's like a rock and then the light appears, takes over the rock, and then as the light goes away, the moon actually disappears behind it. Like if you look at a thermal image of the moon, like look up a NASA thermal image of the moon, of the half moon, it's the same color as the sky. Like it's gone.
Well, when the moon's not,
that's why you see those images. Yeah, there's those images of those of the crest moon, star in it.
Yeah, you can see the Mars. You see Mars.
It's very
with the moon shadow.
That luminary fucks with my mind more than any of the luminaries. I've got P1000 Nikon Coolpix camera.
I got a 900.
I take.
I want your camera. I want your camera.
Mine's bigger.
When you get the P1100, I'll buy your 1000 from you.
Okay, sweet, done.
Okay.
Yeah, like it's insane, man. And the reason why I bought it was for flat Earth stuff. I wanted to understand the world better, to do it from a first-person, direct knowledge perspective, because I don't like taking things too far removed from me and then making them my own without really knowing them. So I spent time understanding, and that's why I got that camera. And I can tell you for fucking sure what you just said is 100% what I've witnessed.
You know, it's funny because people ask me like, "Oh, when did you why do you care about the flat Earth thing so much?" You know, I used to be really into space, like super. I mean, I used to go around telling people you know, that the Earth was on a wobble and it was a 26,000 year cycle, and I thought I had this shit all figured out, man.
Yeah.
Like
at least because the math probably helped you for later.
What's that?
I was going to say, it's good at least because having that grasp of like having to take that dense information helps you for later with true facts about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's just, you know, I feel like we are all scientists. Like, that's why they just put, hey, scientists have discovered in the paper, because it really doesn't matter who it is. Anybody could be a scientist. And there's this weird thought, this weird tone in society that, you know, hey, these scientists, they know and you don't. You're not one of them.
That's the authoritarians. That's one of the biggest things we fight against, these people that want to be told what to think and not how to think. So I run into people all the time. One of my best friends, he might watch this show. He watches a lot of my videos, and he's starting to realize something's wrong. But he often says, I don't know, man, I'm not a scientist, and he says a lot of things like that. And I find him to be brilliant. He's a smart dude, and I feel like he puts his intelligence in somebody else's hands.
He's got a little, like, it's like a little confidence and fear in him. You know, he's afraid to say, to just realize he's on to something. You know, it looks like
similar to that. It's that God relationship where you're usurped by right? you give your power away to a priest, and he's
Mhm.
the direct conduit to God, and then you
Yeah.
go to the priest for God, right?
Oh,
Whereas
he's
the
got
truth
some
is,
God for you, all right.
mate, he's a lot of God. The truth is, dirty motherfucker.
Lot
The
of
truth
God.
is that, like, yeah, we experience what we experience on this plane. That's what I love about Preston's concept with the personal sun and moon, and the way that he's explained that to me, and the little bits of that I've touched on and enjoyed. Get that, Preston, and how you got that one?
How I came to the personal sun and moon? Sure.
Yeah.
It actually started with the stars. So I was
All
doing a
right, we
time
got
lapse with my Nikon P900, and I got done in the morning
Shout out to
after.
Nikon.
Hey, yeah, after recording the whole time lapse, I sat and thought about it. I rewatched it a million times. I just sat and rewatched it like a cop would investigate something. I do that with everything. Like I'll make a video and I will still be thinking about it a day or two later. I've watched it probably 50 times over and over again just to see if there's something I didn't see or said wrong. But I was noticing how the the night sky would spiral right above me. And I thought about a lot about my eyes work and how far I can see. And well, what if somebody on my horizon, they're witnessing a small little circle right above them, but they're seeing the same stars, but right above them, and my circle is imagine. There's a lot of my observations came from imagining my perspective, keeping that perspective there, and then taking another perspective and seeing it from a different way, and then seeing another one. And then once I started doing that, imagining myself in almost everybody's shoes that's alive, then I started realizing there's huge problems with what I'm observing and what I'm experiencing. And I was like, there's no way that these stars right here that my Nikon P900 can zoom in on closer than I can objects on the horizon, that these people are sharing the exact same lights as me beyond my horizon. There's no way that that's possible considering clouds will block out some of them. So they're obviously within my sky. So I just kept, once the idea had popped into my head, because that was the main question. You had these people, like, how far is the sun? How far is the sun? I really wanted to know how far that sun was. So I just started recording it, everything. And once I got the idea from the stars spinning above me, I was like, maybe all the lights are personal. And then I started doing the observations with the moon. And then once I accepted that it's following me, there's a definition for it. It's called parallax. Once I accepted that it's following me, that we all have the same size shadow, they travel with you down the highway. And that's back to the remembering all the things you were as a kid, right? I remembered this thing as a kid. I always thought, like, driving down the highway so fast, how's the sun shadow just following and staying the same size on our car? And it's doing that for everybody. It wasn't even a thought, but it was a wonder I had as a child. But now I know why. It's we have our own little Acme cartoon spotlights following us down the highway. So um, then once I accepted, knowing that I'm seeing my own light, all the light, more observations just came pouring in. I was like, once I knew that I'm seeing my own, it came to me easier explaining it and looking for the explanations. Okay, since it is small, close, and local.
Sorry to interrupt. You might want to mute Nate.
Yeah.
You might want to mute your thing. I muted mine because I think it's echoing on his end.
Oh shit. Okay, 1 second. Let me go and do that. Thanks, bro. Shit.
So yeah, I was doing that a little bit earlier with my mute button, but yeah. So then I came up with several different ways of how the sun follows you, how it's localized, the crepuscular rays, the common um, observations that most people have within the flat Earth community. I use those to help piece together the personal, and for everybody to be like it's small and local, and it was just to me like how local is it? And if it's small and if everybody's experiencing it and explaining it in a way, like if you were to tell somebody to close their eyes and forget everything they ever learned, and they're up on top of a mountain, now explain to me what you're seeing. You would explain to somebody like a Minecraft simulation type video game world, and if you were to go around and explain that experience, that you would explain a personalized experience. So yeah,
See, like
that's
the way I think about like what brings us all together is what we don't know. You know, like it's what we can't entirely explain. I feel like that unites us. You know,
mhm.
that as far as like what's underneath. You know, you know what? It doesn't matter really. It if it's something you can't go and find out, then
Mhm.
it then, you know what I mean. Like if we've only gone 7 miles down at the lowest point, it's like worrying about these things. I think is just causes division in all of us. Like we don't have to. I don't know. We don't have to know exactly what the moon is doing. We don't
Yeah.
have to know exactly what's in the sun or what it's made of, and actually trying to figure that out is less important than like figuring out how to grow something using the sun. Or you know, I think these constants in life. I think if we just it's like NASA almost wants you to be just distracted. It's just a constant distraction. Can you? Oh, your mic is. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Can you?
muted it. Yeah.
Sorry, I was hearing a lot on the other end. I don't know how to like maybe organize all these thoughts entirely, but I think that's what's important is to be able to disprove lies.
Mm.
Then prove the truth. Like I think that's what's helped me is I can just watch NASA, like glitches and things that people have found, and I can watch that over and over again. And I just knowing that they're lying is enough to like just dismiss them. Like all I have to do is just they just need to be dismissed as part of
It's healthy pessimism. Yeah. Healthy
yeah, like
pessimism.
just I mean if they're putting on a show, we don't need to see it. Like we just need to like start looking at the sun with the camera, start looking at the moon. I mean, using the P900, using a camera like that and seeing the stars yourself and what they're doing and just going, I never saw any of this in school. Almost
Oh
everything
yeah.
I've
Not a thing.
discovered, the solar analemma they never showed me in school, midnight sun.
Well, the solar analemma is actually on a globe. If you go look at
It
a globe,
is.
it's on there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's, you know what? I always thought it was like measuring tape. I don't even know what it was. Like no one told, I mean, it is there, but no one explains its relation to you. Like to me, with the solar analemma, the equator where it crosses, where the infinity symbol crosses, that's the change of the seasons.
Yeah. The
So like when
the
the
lower
sun goes
track is
over that
the winter
line,
track, and the higher track is your summer track, and then what's in the middle is your equinox. Yeah.
yeah, it's a calendar, but it's
Yeah.
like to see. There's a solar analemma video on YouTube, Edmonton, Canada. I mean, you watch that thing right when it hits the equator, the snow melts. I mean, and I feel like it proves that it takes the sun's proximity to you to decide what your season is. Like,
See,
are you in
yeah,
Australia,
that's why like
Nate? All right,
when
so
Yeah,
the
I
you
am.
when you
sun. So to me, the sun is like low. It's at its lowest point, and it's burning you guys. But except it's moving more quickly, so it's not. It doesn't have time to really burn you. But that's your summer, is when that sun is like directly over your head. It's on your
Correct.
track on the CD. I mean, I know that
Correct.
you're. I know that we
the
made this
sun
agree on
travels the
this,
same
Nate.
speed in the north and the south.
It does.
Yep. Hmm.
All right. Well, I'm gonna disprove. I'm gonna do my own experiment this winter solstice. God, where should I view it from?
It's the distance. It's the distance that it travels.
Yeah.
It's not how fast. It doesn't. The sun never changes speed. I don't think from my opinions. What I think
I don't
happens,
know.
gradual. There's a couple of things, right? So where I lived before, I could view the east, and I could over a 6 month period, the sun started to rise over here, and every day by about a tiny little bit, it would move across the sky and start to open up and come over here. So in the winter track, it was over here, and in the summer track, it was over here. the time of day that it came up was different. There is shorter and longer days in our light span, but I believe that's because of the distance it's traveling, not how fast it's traveling.
But I mean, what I'm saying, if the Earth was, say, a circular thing, like a circular plane, just for the sake of, that's the general like argument. You know, the sun to make a 24-hour day would have to speed up.
Well, the sun's on a circuit; it's not on an orbit. Yeah.
No, yeah, correct. It's a figure eight, isn't it?
Well,
no, it
what I'm
rises
saying
and
is
it sets.
it starts up high and it goes slow, right? It's going slowly and high in the Arctic Circle, thus creating daylight for 6 months, because the sun never leaves. It never leaves the actual land. Like it's so tight that, oh man, I can't. I mean, it's hard to explain without like any visuals.
It's really interesting. It's good. Like it's good. Yeah.
Well, it's high and tight and it's going slow. And as it unwinds, it has to speed up to maintain 24 hours. So to me, I mean, that's an experiment that I'd actually like to do, is on the winter solstice, take a time-lapse video of the day. And then the summer solstice, take another time-lapse, stack those videos on top of each other and see if we can see any speed.
What's the anomaly?
Yeah, like where? Oh man, I don't have
the speed of the sun is going to be the same, but the time, the amount of daylight, and
like, it should look like this. It should look like this. Like the sun. The sun. They're going at the same. They're both kind of ending at the same time, but one is going to be going faster than the other. In my estimation, that's my hypothesis.
It rises and sets quicker. Like later, it rises later and it sets quicker.
I'll do the experiment and then I'll show you what I have.
So,
and then we'll look at it on here, and then maybe we can actually.
There's statistics that have been charted. It's not something that's been like, that's not like a secret. It's something that you can probably just look up.
I know, but I'm saying I don't see a video of like someone showing me like the winter solstice day from a certain location, and then like the summer solstice day from I would estimate that you would have that, like for the winter solstice, you'd want to be like on the equator, where you could see the most of the sun that's outside of, on the outside edge of the world, and then you'd want to go up north.
During the equator, in the equator, it's always the same. Like the track's
always the same.
Yeah, at the equator, it's always the same. The track's always straight east to west. It's always equinox in between the tropics.
I'm still gonna do it. I'm just we don't have to
now
discuss that.
You have to
that's a big thing, right?
Yeah. For there to be a drastic change. For there to be a drastic change, you have to be 20 degrees above the tropical lines, and then you'll get to see all of the northern stars or all of the southern stars. There's a certain amount of degree you have to be above each tropic to be able to even see all the northern stars. Like
no, you're right. Yeah. I would just focus on the sun during a day. I would just watch it. Just how, I don't know. That's one thing that stuck out in me, is that if the sun is going different speeds, like perceivably distant or different speeds, that would at least disprove that we're on a fixed orbit.
Yeah, well,
going without the exact same speed.
I
don't know.
There's other ways that and observations I have proving that they're on circuits, like the all the lights are on timers, like we talked about the morning star and evening stars in the direction of the sun. And usually, like if this Earth is spinning, or like even on a flat Earth model, the darkness should be coming with the stars, but the first and last star you see is in the direction of the sun. It's like on a timer too. The morning star and evening star comes on at a certain time, and it's in the direction of all the light you see, but that's not supposed to be physically happening. So and then you have the aurora borealis. It's on a circuit, and a timer comes on same time every year. And the sun actually rotation is 24 minutes and like 50 seconds. It's not on a perfect rotation. So each day it comes back 20 seconds later, 20 seconds, like a certain amount of time later.
Eric
20
D.A.B.S
minutes.
said something about how the moon was going 24 and a half hour long day. And that the sun was in a 24-hour
period. So the moon goes.
Off.
Yeah, the moon is on its own individual circuit. Like, so it has a 28-day circuit, 25 days to go from right to left crescent, and then 3 days of invisibility, and then it comes out new moon. But the it's magical. I call the moon the queen on the chessboard because she can move all the way across the sky almost instantaneously. Now, I had this revelation one day recently, and I was so the first few times it pops up right crescent, right out to your west. Now Matt, you've seen the moon calendar for 1 month. It goes from right crescent to left crescent, right? Well, that calendar, that full moon is centered to your midnight. Everybody has that moon month that the moon is personal to you. So that moon month is personal to you. You're going to see it go from west to east. The first time you see it without west setting for you, the last time you'll see it in the morning, disappearing as the sun's catching up to you. And the full moon is centered at midnight. And it does that for everybody. No matter
Now,
what,
when
we
you say
all
personal,
experience that. We
when
all
you say
experience that.
personal, do you mean there are multiple?
It's
is there
small,
still
close,
just
and
one
local. So,
source?
like, if it's only illuminating your clouds, like a mile or two from your house, like, and
But are there
right
multiple
there,
moons? Are there multiple
I
moons
think there's a
to
source.
achieve
There's a
this?
source. There's a source where we're inside of like a realm, right? And there's a source or a program, script, I don't know, something outside of ourselves where we all individually see it localized. And like because it's such a grand design, it's easy to fool people. But now with technology, I think it's been easier to prove it that it's right there. And it's kind of like you've been fooled your whole life to see something a certain way. And then when I saw it, I was seeing my clouds being illuminated right there above
We
me. And
we need to do like a giant group chat with
we've
people
done it.
all-
I
you've
have
done
a
it.
sun and moon group where we had like 14 people in the chat. We all went out the full moon and took a picture of it, and all our skies look completely different. So,
But I mean, like what I'm saying is like one time I remember distinctly looking at the moon at like 6:30 in like out west, in like the mountain time zone. I could see the moon at 7:30 or 6:30 during the light, still light dusk. But the girl I was talking to is in Sweden, and she was looking at the moon too, and she could see it at night in Sweden, and I could see it in the day in America.
right.
I thought that really, really interesting. And that's what tells me that your theory could be like correct. Is how would she see the same thing as me?
No, see when you're like,
Because we're far enough away. I mean, we're far enough in different time zones.
mhm.
We really shouldn't be able to see the moon on the globe. If there
Right, it
was a
should be
globe.
over a curve somewhere.
Yeah.
So I just don't get how people can look up at the moon and not and say and be made aware of it. Hey, that's not a rock in the sky; it's a light. Can you not tell? Middle of the night, full moon. It gives off little light bows. Like a light reflecting light will only give you a reflective light. But the moon, I've shown this in videos where if like you speed it up and slow it down, it has little bows, little light bands on it. That's a projecting light. It's not reflecting light. There's a big difference between reflecting.
It's definitely
Yeah.
projecting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely projecting. But the thing is that when you zoom in on it and you get caught, looks like rock, right? And
Yeah.
then what we were talking about earlier about the disappearing part, it literally isn't there because you hunt for it, and if you look at it, it's almost like it taped rounded off in the. It's very interesting. It feels
It's like an eyelid. It's like an eyelid goes over it.
Yeah.
And then the eyelid
Like a bulge
opens
disc.
up from the bottom and like goes back around. So it's weird.
in
Like,
astrology. They're saying bodies. Yeah.
Like the waxing to me is like the light coming across, and then the waning is like the moon disappear. Is like it's back. Yeah, it's very mysterious. I mean.
So she stays astrology. The moon stays in a house for 2-5, and there's a big relationship in the time you were born. Your internal emotion, your moon sign astrology chart actually explains to you a lot about how your inner perspectives of the world are correlated. Your sun signs your outer self. And then your ascending sign is how you're perceived in the world. So if you've got like a different sign contrast, it'll mean that there'll be a lot of dynamics to your personality. And the moon very much has a relationship with the way they're affected.
So you're like so when I was born, like during a waxing moon or a waning moon or a full moon or whatever, is that?
And the house that it was in, there's all different sort of relationships with those different things of your personality that will then shine through. I've seen it, like I've studied it and I've seen it, and it's, if I read your chart, it's there in front, like everything about you is out in the stars.
Well, here I know one thing. I don't know if I've looked up my birth date on the Hebrew calendar, and I converted it from the Gregorian date, and essentially my birthday is on 30 Kislev, which would be the very end of the month. So my moon is like pretty much gone. Yeah. When I was born, the moon was new.
Yeah, but it'll be in a house. It'll still see the thing that it is, still the thing that it is, and it's always there, even when it's not there. There's almost a context with when you're growing something or you're letting something go. It's in the two different for the moon. So we're actually meant to, like, for instance, when the moon sits in your house during that month, you're meant to fast and take stock of your time and be reflective and do less outer work. You're meant to be introspective during those 3 days. And on the new moon, you're meant to do the same.
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking about how. Whoa. Can you guys hear me?
I've got you.
Oh, I think he's muted.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I muted you. Sorry. I'm trying to actively mute. No, I was saying, when you say the moon is in my house, what do you mean by that? So,
sorry, in your star. So basically, the way it moves around the sky, or the way the sky moves with the stars, I'm still trying to work a lot of this stuff out. I'm still new.
I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, but I love it. Like, and I honestly think it's such an amazing thing to comprehend. So essentially what will happen is, through the month, the moon will move through the different star signs. And as it moves through the star signs, it'll spend 2.5 days in your star sign. And during that time, it's the time when you're meant to stop doing the things that you normally do and take a little bit of homage to yourself and to the relationship to the moon. And then actually on the new moon, do exactly the same thing. And the idea is, by fasting, by meditating, by taking time, it's resetting your clock. The rest of those 2 phases is about growing and letting things go.
You heard about the 13th zodiac sign?
Yeah, I don't prescribe to anything like that, because I believe that nothing's changed in us for millennium. Like, what spun me out, I was really amazed by what
if the 13th sign is not really that old, though? What if it's not really the new?
It's a new thing.
You think? Interestingly, there are 13 month
it would make sense with the 13-month moon and a 13, and you got the 12 disciples and Jesus. What accounts for the 13th?
The only reason why I don't think so, I follow a lady called Laviette on YouTube. She's like probably the most amazing astronomer I know, that breaks down, she uses stellarium, breaks down the sky and actually explains it on the flat and everything else like that. She's legit knows our stuff. But she helps me use that tool and understand how to use that to figure out and navigate the sky, because everything that you use is based on a heliocentric model. All their tools, like I've got a sky tracker thing, it's under my dirt. There's no stars under there. They're all in the firmament, but they're just on your side of the sky, where I'm nowhere near.
See, I've used stellarium before. I used stellarium before, I think, and to make the model correct, you know what it does? It puts you in the center. Which means you're the observer.
Skyview, yeah, I know Skyview just shows a circle. Just like it only shows a perfect circle that you're able to see.
It folded you over in the Skyview.
Exactly.
It puts you in God's seat, right?
Yeah.
We're all in that seat, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Like, I think about that whole, we're all gods, but I mean.
Yeah, we were talking about that last week.
But then you don't want to think of yourself as a god, though, because then you get the whole.
Why not?
Diluted. I mean, then you get, I don't know. Then are you at risk for getting corrupted with power or ego and all that?
Yeah, I mean that's that ego and power and like not having a correct sense of yourself is always bound to happen with anything. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to have a God complex. We were discussing this last thing. I think it's quite an honor and flattering to be even remotely put in likings as and I want to be constantly aspiring to be godlike, Christ-like. I guess that's what you we all I'm aspiring to
doesn't
be.
it always
So.
also stay in the it also Bible, but that you'll deny me, and it also says in the Bible that ye are gods. All these things that are right in front of us that have told us what we are, but it's like the earth that's flat as fuck, moving anywhere. We're led to believe we're not worthy. So we take away the ability to actually create in our lives and manifest things, and manifest as that fucking woo-woo. It's funny because flat earth's woo-woo, but fucking woo-woo. The truth, really,
You're
this
cutting
thing that,
out a lot. You're cutting out a lot.
am I?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're starting to chop up on me too.
Yeah, it's.
I'm trying to fix that. So just saying that I really think that believing in yourself and believing in your senses is a really big important part of the ability to comprehend what God is.
Oh.
Whoa.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, I think you're. Yeah, that one messed up pretty bad.
You're having a. It was really. I don't know what it was doing. If it was internet or like your equipment.
All right. I tried to shut me off and then reconnect me.
Yeah, it sounded like somebody intercepted your signal or something.
Oh yeah.
There's somebody's listening to us. It's your crazy Australian government.
They don't got the flat earth.
Speaking of that, one time I made it. This is off topic, but one time I made an 800 like I called an 800 support number, and it rang, and I was in the middle.
Roman.
It didn't even ring, and I was in the middle of a bank customer service call. Like I called a tech support number, and then all of a sudden I was like, "All right, Mr. Smith, let me look up your account right now." Just and I could hear them, and they couldn't hear me. It was really weird. Like I listened to it for like 10 minutes. Yeah. I listened to it for 10 minutes. Wow. Just listening to him getting passed into phone trees, different phone trees and stuff. Dude. Anyway. So somebody that shows you that you can be listened to, I guess. I mean.
So has either one of y'all looked into concave theory? While we're sitting here talking about flat Earth, we might as well jump into the concave subject and other theories.
Because look, I've come across it, same as the ice wall and everything else like that, and also the multiple rings. I've come across those. Are you guys hearing me now, clear?
Yeah.
Yeah, sweet.
That's good.
So I've come across like the inner rings, outer rings, different stuff like that. I've come across the cup sort of shape with them. I've come across the ice wall. They're I've seen of different things, and I have different beliefs about different aspects of those as per my observations.
You know what the belief that I have is that the world is shaped like an eye. For some reason, I think there are too many similarities with like this flat Earth and an eye, and I feel like we could be living on an iris. Like I feel like the land and the sea is like that iris of an eye. I mean, you can look into some people's iris, and they have like multiple Earth colors in there that are all like some people's eyes actually look like a little world. And it's weird that the ice wall that you mentioned, the ice wall is also white on our own eye. And it's actually the same word, eyes wall. It's like eyes or ice. It's like an interchangeable thing. Mm-hmm. And what if we're on an iris and the iris is like bowed? What if it's like a half circle all the way around? Or like a bowed, like what if it's curved like a donut, like half a donut? And what if there is some curvature to it, like that?
but just not all the way around.
See how the guy said the edges are upturned? See, I'm more of a square earther. I don't believe in the 360 ice wall.
I've never heard the square earth thing.
So
I've never
yeah, it's one of the theories.
Yeah, he said it last week. I was like, what?
I know.
Yeah, a lot of people haven't
that
done
one. I can't prove.
A lot of it's one, like I tell everybody, try to debunk it. It's one of the only model that I've researched.
That would take the
ice wall, right?
Ice wall away.
So if you were to head true east or west, if like say you're in California, you head true west, you're not ever going to hit an ice wall. Nobody's ever done that. And
no, I see.
If you head in a straight line and you navigate on the pie, you would never hit that ice wall if you head true west or east. And there's so many anomalies as far as where the sun rises and sets. I've been off the whole AE model for like 4 years now. And yeah, I researched concave just to see what, and it was so kooky. But I do think we are inside of a world, so that part of is right. And I think the eye part, all the Earth is like a human body. I have this weird idea that all the pieces of Earth are like human structure. The left hemisphere of the brain, left right brain. All the stars are like neurons of the brain.
It's all related.
Yeah, and like maybe there's a nose that's a part of.
Yeah, what? Yeah, hey, what you just said's amazing, man. Because I've like, okay, you cut a carrot open and you say, fucking walnuts look like your brain, right? The length of your arm is like that part of your arm is the length of your foot, right? Your neck's the cut to your waist. There are so many things that fit together in this world that don't make fucking sense. They're so perfect by design. And that's why I think about creator and where things sort of come from, and it was engineered. So anyway,
even the Earth was made in his image. All of everything is made in our image, in his image, and
like lungs of a tree versus our lungs, and then you zoom into a scope and you look at the way that it looks like the way things it also looks like things under our star, like things all map out in higher and lower. And what's that saying? It's above, so below. So I think what you just fucking so close to being on the money that I just felt like we're an operating system inside of here. And I've always have the lights that are the costs that go out to the world, and maybe the bit that we're while we're here, but does it exist when we're not here? And this is when I was a little child. And that goes to your personal world model.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we're all inside of like a human brain. Like we're the consciousness and light of the world. I think the Earth stays here, and the sky. It's all like. I tell people this a lot. I think God created the place, and then He birthed Ashura, a man and a woman, and those were the two gods of the earth, and then that's it, and then He lives vicariously through all of us, and then hasn't interfered since. It's just been us being here to bring heaven on earth. That's kind of where I think we're at. So,
Zach, what's your take on it?
You're muted.
Well, what I find interesting is that the Hebrew calendar marks the creation of human beings, which they're saying was 5,782 years ago. And the only thing that would make sense of that is if we were some sort of a golem, like an inanimate matter brought to life by
a hologram.
There's an interesting thing where.
Did you see where the CIA said that recently? Released that saying that we're all just electric holograms. Yeah.
I mean, see, I don't believe the whole like what I see is my world and then what everyone else sees is their world, because we all can
share a reality.
Some of the same things, enough of the same things.
That's what when I say about my personal luminaries, I say it's an individual but collective experience. Like it's a grand design. So
it's like.
But I feel like
your thoughts.
I feel like when people design stuff, it's not as good. Like, so that makes me wonder if it could have been designed.
because
Made in China.
yeah, or just hey, like what, like in my view, like with Satanism or like what the devil is, what people call the devil is really just anything that's like not sincere, not real,
Not the good.
synthesized, like anything like fake flavoring, like strawberry flavor as opposed to eating a strawberry.
Anything that's not natural.
Yeah, anything that's not natural. So it feels like Earth can't even. I don't feel like Earth could even be made by anything, or else it wouldn't be perfect. Like I don't know. I don't even think
I thought about
we can grasp what creating a world would be like. So I don't know. I stay away. Like you can create your own.
Well, every world that we've created has been a simulation type world. You think about any video game, World of Warcraft, Minecraft, it's all flat. Every one of them's flat. And
they're starting to throw curve into them now, though.
Are they? That's strange. I remember
they're starting to curve the world, like because people have caught on to that. That the worlds are always flat, square.
Yeah.
So like Grand Theft Auto, you got to now or something like that.
Every map's going to be alpine peaks.
Well, it is weird how you're saying like when you are traveling across the world, it does just kind of come into view as your piece that you're on just comes into view.
Yeah, your circle of sight is very limited.
It's like what can you see and not see? What like it's very interesting how you can't see
disappearing
something.
Point. Yeah.
It's like it's there or is it there? I can't see it. So
okay, you getting some candy?
Moon, that's the bit that fucks me. When the bit disappears, I'm like, where the fuck did you go? I stare at you like almost every day. You're not there. I know you're not there.
There's an interesting video.
Even when in the daytime.
There's a SpaceX time lapse that shows like the Falcon Heavy going up into this blue stuff, and it's like I feel like that might be why the sky's blue, because there's like this blue. Like that's I take things from the Bible. Like
the sky's purple. Did you know that?
Is it?
Yeah. The only reason is you're not seeing a purple sky is because your eyes don't have violet receptors. If you had violet receptors, we would see a purple sky.
How do I see purple? I can see purple.
Our eyes don't have a violet receptor. It's a mix of other colors and other spectrums. There's many purple spectrums. We don't have a violet spectrum in our eyes. Like where some animals have like a green and a red, and that's the colors they see. Where we're primary. Like that's why Prince wrote the song "Purple Rain" because it's actually the sky's purple. Like
yeah. But I mean, I feel like I can see purple hues in the sky at certain times, or
yeah, you're seeing a visible purple spectrum, not a mix of the violets like
ultraviolet.
Yeah, you have a wide spectrum of colors, but you're not seeing a particular spectrum. Yeah, like ultraviolet spectrum. So.
I mean, I know what you're saying. There, you get very like I don't know.
I love it.
Very technical.
Well, I want to know every reason.
Little things.
I think that stuff is where you can find division, though. Is like when you get too specific about like, or if you say like you can't, like you're not seeing that. It's almost like when you say that I'm not seeing.
I don't want to make this like a pun towards you, but I get. You're more open-minded and talkative, but I get a lot of arguments with people that are at, this is going to sound insulting, but at your stage of flat earth. Okay. I get a lot of arguments, especially for AE believers, people who stand on a box and will argue to no end that this is the truth. And when I start just rattling off little things that are wrong with it, they do the same thing that low believers do as when they're straw manning you. I've noticed that, and what's even worse is they realize that they've been lied to again, but now they're an adult and they learned it as an adult, and the pride in them is even worse. It's because they taught this to themselves, not an adult teaching a child.
Well, I feel like when you say something like, and I don't even believe absolutely anything is possible. I think there are still limits.
People get mad when I speak in absolutes and matter of fact. Trust me that I've done my research.
Unfortunately, but what I'm saying is, is when you're saying like I'm not seeing blue, right? Like I'm saying, oh, we all say the sky's blue. But when you say I'm not seeing blue, it reminds me of like some NASA shit, like where they're like, oh, uh, you're not seeing like globes and like orbs in the sky. Those are suns. You know, it's like there still feels like a deceptive tone to like saying you're not. That's not what you're seeing. Like, you know, 4 plus 4.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Now we have to choose to
or,
deceive ourselves. You don't believe what the person is saying. You take heed of it. You go research it. You see why it is not, or why is the sky blue? That's what I searched. I just looked up why is the sky blue, and then that led into like a whole bunch of
because he's in the
research.
blue group.
So I wanted to know why the sky was blue. If you're, it's funny because it comes up a lot when I'm explaining it to like Uber drivers because I do it too. They're like, I bet you can tell me why the sky is blue. It actually happened. I'm like, yeah, you don't have violet receptors, and they're like, what the? Like you'd be surprised about the little bitty informations that like wake people up. So.
I had an Uber driver in El Paso, Texas, that said he'd been abducted many times, and he was saying some crazy. I mean, I was like listening to every bit of it though. I just felt bad for the guy, like that.
What do you think of being abducted like by aliens?
Or just being abducted by anyone, you know, like just abducted.
But was it by aliens or just by like?
He said by aliens, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and that they did stuff to him, and he was freaked out. I mean, he just lived his life pretty freaked out that they could come out of the sky grid anytime and just take him away.
That would fuck you up.
Now, a lot of people have said they've lost a period, a track of time, and then they reappear in their life. I'm wondering if it's possible. What we think of knowing as aliens and what they think of aliens, maybe it's somewhere a mix in between, like where they might be angels and demons, or like archons, or like higher beings of light, where the low believer thinks it's like a physical lizard being, where we're more so maybe it's a spiritual being that's
a projection,
taking your consciousness from you or stealing your consciousness, putting you in that.
I don't know. They put Tupac on the stage in a hologram, so
yeah,
you can never go back from that.
Oh, Nate,
he was there.
I re-listened to our podcast on the first one, and you were saying something about this Black Mirror. You were telling me.
Yeah, the mirror. Yeah, so there's it's a witching. And basically what it is, it's they used a reflective gem, like a reflective crystal or stone, and it looks similar to a mobile phone. And what they would do is in the scrying, use it to conjure entities, and they would interact and interface with entities through the scrying mirror. And it's very interesting. And LEDs and everything now are these that give out these rays that if you have a child, you put them up just being this mushy thing that when you turn off the TV, they act like a click. And then you've got like a thing to bait this message out that's keeping them trapped right now. So it's really interesting that we have that.
I'm sorry, your poor internet or something. It keeps. Really? It's like every other word.
Yeah, I understood what you were saying though. So he's describing this.
What you're saying, I wish I could hear the actual.
I saw this movie Green Lantern, and it had this scene where it's in medieval times, so there's no technology, and they're using this some kind of form of ancient technology where he stands in front of like this black mirror, and they use the sunlight to put his photons onto this black mirror, and it's able to save the image and his whole energy, like him as a person. Wow. So that it made me think of cloning. Like they used this like monolithic black mirror to like clone human beings. I don't know. I just remember that part of our conversation.
Yeah. What about if actually like spying on us and sucking the juice out of us to get all of the good consciousness out of everybody? What about if all the things that we're to end up integrating into what you're saying?
I do. They listen to you all the time. The other day, I was, me and my wife were talking about Speedo bathing suits for going swimming laps, and how I wanted like the brief underwear ones, the shorts one, but not the Speedo ones. And I go to open up my email, boom, Speedo shorts. Like, I was like, I've never even seen these before, and now they're right there in my email. Like, so
I've got one better for you. This girl was talking about fecal transplants, and that came up immediately on her wall. I mean, no one's talking about that.
No one.
that's what I tell people. If you don't think
that.
think the government's listening to you, think of something that you never ever talk about. And now talk about it for like 2 minutes into your phone, and then go like scroll through Facebook, and you'll see an ad for it, or like scroll. Yeah, you'll definitely.
You want to know something scary? I don't know if I was conscious of it, but I swear to God, there's been things that I've thought of and I've had ads for them. And I haven't said a word to a stranger. I haven't said a word to anyone.
I've had this too.
I ended up with stuff in my
I called my friend Finry a
I'm like,
liar
"Is
on
that
this
real?"
one time. Yeah, I called him. I was like, there's no way. And this was a few years ago. I had this conversation. I was like, there's no way. It's not possible. But it does go back to the point that I think we're all connected individually to the ether, and the sky is a brain. And I do think it's Christ consciousness is what it is. That's essentially really what it is, and that we're all connected to it. Yeah.
Zach,
I can't. It's weird because I'm in this weird place where I would never. I hate the word like atheist. Like I don't want to say I'm an atheist, but I can't get into. Like I feel like Christ and all that is like programmed into you by. Like I think that whole thing is related to like the globe and stuff. Like, have you ever heard of?
I'm not saying Christ and the being of Christ. I'm saying the idea of Christ consciousness, that we're all connected to it. The synchronicity.
Why can't you just say consciousness? Like, why
everybody
does it have to be Christ consciousness? I don't get that part.
Because the triggers, I said it. I think you've got a really interesting aspect and take right now, Zach. Your transition right now is in a very aesthetic. Like, there's a lot of things you're like, I don't really want to take them in, and I agree. Like, coming from the perspective, kid, you put it down and you want to pick it up again because it doesn't really make sense anymore. And then when people say certain things, you're like, oh, not that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, you know, when I see a guy on the street, or like I'm riding in the car with a guy, and he's like starts talking about Jesus, like I don't have a problem with Jesus. I'm not really sure what Jesus actually is, like if it's a real person or what. I mean, just the word, like where did the word come from? Who, you know? So I've got too many questions about it. And when somebody comes at me with like, you really got to find Jesus.
I agree with you on that. I 100% agree with you on that.
Replace that word with anything. I got to find Jello. You know, I got to find, you know, you got to find socks. You know, I mean, just finding like a thing, anything. I mean, but you can say you got to find music, and then now you got me. Now I'm like, okay, yeah, I think people should find music or something that's tangible, like something like, yeah, let's go find your socks, go find anything. But what is Christ? I can't quantify or qualify what that is, so I can't use it as a descriptor in my life.
One day you'll be able to.
You're perspective, right? And you're very observant, very
You're breaking up again.
You, bro.
Yeah, you're breaking up one more
time.
time.
You actually. Fuck. It sucks.
Sometimes you have to reconnect.
Hey, do this. Can you turn off your camera for a second? And just see if we can hear you. Like maybe your bandwidth is like being taken up by.
How's that?
See, I think that might be. Go ahead and say what you're saying.
Let's have a really interesting perspective. You're very thoughtful and true that you've come up with your aspects of understanding what you've taken on. And I know by the conversation you have a what seems to be like a Hebrew kind of background to where your knowledge has come from. And I know that that's a very matter-of-fact perspective in comparison to, say, Catholicism, because they are more of an alpha perspective on religion when you think about the way they've positioned themselves. My understanding of all religions, they're all man-made, right? They all came from India and they're 5,000 years old. What my question is to you is, you've got so many thoughtful, interested in the world aspects to you. have you not thought that there's some? Do you not feel something inside of you, or are you really in your head? Do you feel? Are you connected to your heart?
I mean, I feel like it's really important to just understand the things that are like right in front of me that are
tangibility. Yeah, I get it.
Tangibility,
but what's beyond really that?
Because it's and then things that aren't tangible or become intangible. I exhibit caution when anything that I really, it's like, because someone could say, I have to collect
What if I told you that you could make God tangible by being grateful and thankful and constantly announcing it kind of to God, and like showing love that you can't, if you like believe in the good and you see the good and you constantly seek for the good, right? Like we were talking about, like manifesting and seeking, that just try to like just say, okay, I'm going to put my faith in the good, and then and love.
It's necessary. I think you go through life and you have these cause and effect things that happen to you. Everything is, which is what karma is. And I don't like to say that I believe in necessarily karma, because that's another thing that's intangible that is really just trying to describe what's right in front of you. It's cause and effect. So you do something and you see a result, and you take that result and you make it what you will. So I mean, like, part of using the P900 camera and looking at the stars and seeing things for yourself is all you need. I don't think you need like external explanations for things that you experience in your day-to-day life. I mean, that's why
I've got one for you, Zach. Okay. I've got one for you. Okay, so what you said, I agree with completely. I've got a lot of experience with dealing with the personality type that you present to me today, because my brother, I believe, is in exactly the same vein, and I love it because it gives someone like myself or Preston the opportunity to make evidence, present things in ways that make it. We have to get better at our argument to present things in a way that gives you different light. So the only thing I say to you is this: I have one question. If my grandma, she's already passed away, weighed 55 kilos, that's at like 110 pounds when she was alive, and then when she passed away, she weighed 110 pounds. What is my grandma? What is the thing that was the person that I was speaking to before she passed? If she weighs exactly the same, we're talking about quantifiable stuff here. We're talking about matter.
Are you talking about the weight of your soul, like where you.
Well, I'm talking about what is the person provides in us that is the thing that operates this meat suit. What is that thing? And for me, my only question to you is around that is.
I think it could be a demon. I think like we could all be like maybe not like a negative one, but there's a spell casts. Like there's like it goes back to like what I was saying about the golem. Like in Jewish lore, there's a rabbi in Prague who took, who didn't want to do. He wanted a servant that he could count on, and he created it out of clay. And he cast a spell into it, and it became alive just from the general, intent. I intended to be human shaped, and I intended to be able to serve me, and I intend to be able to turn it on and off at my will and create this thing with just like a demon. I feel like maybe we were originally spell casted like by something.
What if but what I'm saying is it's tangible. Yes. Say if you make it tangible, like we're spellcasters in ourselves too, and if you live, breathe, and say, like, if I want something, I got to believe that I'm going to get it. I've got to make it happen. I've got to say it, think it, and it will happen. I know it will happen because I'm creating my reality in front of me. And I believe in a benevolent force, like a good force. And if I know that good force is forever loving me and it happens more. And I've turned my back on God several times.
I think
and
truth is
and
what that
creation.
force is. Truth
What?
is what that force is.
I
I think all these words
it's
are
good.
interchangeable.
I think it's
I think
good.
that all the words
Yeah.
are interchangeable. I think
Yeah.
we get caught up on words. Like one thing I've learned I've got a course I did called Avatar, and in that course you try on different feelings, right? And I think that feelings are like one of those things, like these beliefs that we have. And you can try on feeling sad and you can feel sad, or you can try on feeling happy and feel happy. But the truth is that it's something that we take on or off, and all these labels that we prescribe to things, and then the meaning to the labels is what fucks the world. I think we all get stuck on labels.
Yeah.
So, have you ever seen the experiment where they freeze water bottles and they fill it up with anger and fill it up with love?
Dr. Emoto is the name of the doctor.
Well, yeah, it's been done many times, but the symbol of good and love, and you fill something up with good, it's the Star of David. It's like this beautiful Star of David, where like the hate and evil and negative thoughts. So imagine if you're always pessimistic or instead of optimistic, and thinking that positive things are going to happen, you're going to connect yourself to those thoughts. And
it's self-fulfilling either side. Yeah. When in the reverse, if you think negative shit happens to you, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Both sides of it create exactly the same shit. If you think shit, you get shit. If you mind the garden in your head, like Jesus said, this is a thing, right? Jesus is also a character that is a character in the Kemet.
Ourself. And he plays ourself in our way.
Exactly. It's the hero's journey. When you reach 33, it's a pivotal moment in your life. 33 relates back to the Hebrew. It relates to the spine. It relates to the stars. Like, there's so many things that all connect together. And that's why I believe there is a higher power, because nothing can be this divine. Every single thing in my life, even this conversation, comes together and just forms this perfect sequence of events that all over my experience and watching it and looking in reverse, everything plays out perfect.
I don't want to make it seem like we're jumping on you about God.
I think, no. I mean, dude, like I'm ready for any. Because I can't prove what, like, the creation of myself and like everything else, because I kind of live in a comfortable place of like
you exist
of like, I don't have to know. So like, what's important is that I know things in front of me. Like, I can
100%.
organize my own space. Like, I'm actually a pretty disorganized person. I battle with, looking at my world and like, how can I make it more streamlined for myself and give myself less worry, and a lot of that is just doing, just getting down and starting. And I think I find myself, getting older and tired, and like, how do I recreate my will to like create my better world?
I feel like you have an internal conflict around two archetypes inside of you. I think that you have a very structured, organized archetype in thought, but I think in activity and sometimes in the outer realms of what you want to do and be, you don't promote that part. So then later you feel kind of out of whack with it.
I think you're right. Yeah. That's a good explanation.
Yeah.
I like it.
But back to the God thing, man. Like, I think none of the labels suffice, right? Anything you've ever believed is probably not a good enough container for it.
Exactly. It lets me sleep at night, like not figuring it out, not really, not knowing. I mean, I know plenty of things that are in front of me, or things that I've done, like some music and, how to diagnose and fix certain things. Like, I don't know. I just find comfort in mastering my present place.
Well, yeah. What month were you born in?
And I think observing the moon and the stars and all that is like satisfaction enough. Just seeing them, just being able to see, like having the blessing of having a camera or telescope that just lets me view the world as I want. Like, I want to see it, and I can. I do enjoy that ability.
You just spoke about God just then. You realize that?
I said,
that, honestly, what you just said then, this is the thing. When he said, send the blessing to Jesus or whatever, it doesn't matter who you send it to. You can send it to Nikon. The truth is that God made fucking Nikon as well, because everything made everything. And even there's probably a God that made God. We don't know shit about shit. That's the truth. What I do know is that we're all connected, and there's a soup between us, and it helps with our thoughts. and it helps with the way we understand the world more and more to get.
I think the most important conversation we can have is like probably at the present time, even more important than the Earth, is inflation.
Here we can jump topics. Nate's in Australia, so I was kind of wanting to discuss current events and what's going on today.
I feel like that the evil that is we're being boiled in the pot right now. We're the frogs in the pot. Inflation is catching up with this generation. You know, other generations have dealt with it and it's gone away and it's restarted. But right now, we're all finding ourselves in a pinch with this thing, money. You know, that is losing value every day. And
well, 100 years ago, we went through like a similar time period. We had World War I, World War II. I made a meme about this, and then there's the Great Depression. But then we had a transfer of like money, and we're going through that too to digital currency. So I think now is a good time to get ahead of the game and not to be huge demonizations of alternate money systems.
What I'm saying is, how do we stop it completely? Because I feel like people, you know, we all reach this place with technology where we're all like, okay, I'm okay with where it's at, and it doesn't have to.
You can't stop it. You can't. You just have to be consciously aware, and then wake up those open ears that are willing to listen. Because there's still.
Well, you can stop using it. I mean, that you can stop like feeding it. That's like the only thing I think you can do. It's just.
But most of the sheep are still going to be the Goyim are going to always outnumber the Elohim.
The enlightened, Elohim.
Yeah. Right. So that's my thing. I just have to accept it. I think accept the things you can change and accept things you can't. Right. So.
Yeah.
That's
a good idea. I mean, that's where I should be is in that space where I'm accepting of certain, but it really hurts to accept certain things, man.
But like you were saying earlier, you like proving the lies. See, my thing is I like proving the truth. As you were saying, you like looking at the sun and the moon and things like that. The reason I find proving the truths more is because I say like when I'm talking to an Uber stranger and I have all my observations and I can share my experience and they can go out and test that experience. Because we all experience the sky above us, right? So they can go take that experience with them and forever change the way they look at the world. I often find when I'm attacking NASA, I'm sharing like a YouTube channel video that I didn't make myself, and then I'm hating on this billion-dollar company, and I'm acting. It almost seems like I'm smarter than these astronauts. This is to somebody that's not woke to it, right? I'm telling this sleep sheep that I'm smarter than astrophysicists, NASA people. Everybody's been lied to, and it's really like a negative passion. That's the way I view it. So when I come at it from this is my passion, I like looking at the sun and the moon. I have hundreds of videos of me on a parking deck. Look at this. Don't you think there's problems with this? Why is the moon, when it's not fully like illuminated, match the color of the sky? Like why do the stars dim in city light? Why? Why does the moon only illuminate nearby clouds? I often like bring up questions of wonder, of passion, and that passion and wonder leads them to wondering as well.
Sometimes I think the answer is in the question.
Mm-hmm. You know? Oh yeah, for sure.
You just the answer is that the fact that I can question this so much is an answer.
One of the best debate tactics I've come to learn is like if you're debating a really smart shill, use the answer is in their question. If you ever they stump you and you're like, it happens all the time. There's some really smart shills out there that I've debated, like MC McToon and Flight to Flat Earth. They're both incredibly intelligent. So, but in those questions that they purposely ask you, the truth is in that. The truth is always on your side, but the truth is generally in the question. So, I'm missing. Is Nate still here?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
I've got a suggestion for you, Nate, too. I was going to say when you're speaking, you could turn your video off, but then when you're not, you could turn it back on, I think. I think you just have one-way transmission, like your internet's not allowing
fucking
you to...
Australia, it's killing me.
To do both. But yeah. When you're not talking, I would say we all want to see you.
Yeah, let's talk about Australia and Yeah, let's talk about what's going on in your life.
Like, I don't know. Have you guys seen what's happened in Australia in the last 24 hours? You got any news over there?
I saw a cop get decked by like 5 people.
Yeah.
He got back up, and every time he got back up, somebody else would knock him down.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there's protests.
Oh yeah, you haven't seen it? It's crazy.
Okay,
yeah,
so
I've seen a little glimpse. Yeah, I've seen.
So on the weekend they shot at the protesters again with rubber bullets, and then they pushed a grandma over and she cracked her skull open, and then they sprayed her in the face with pepper spray. You there?
Yeah, I think I saw her on the ground. I think.
Yeah, so
Oh
they
yeah,
did
just give me
that.
1 second. I'm actually directing my friend to the podcast. Like they can see it really quick.
Is it Chuck?
And
I'll be here. I'm listening.
yes, cool. So yeah, they did that on Saturday, and then on Monday, a whole bunch of construction guys got told that they didn't have work as of Thursday for the next 4 weeks, and bad luck, and just go home and contact Centrelink, which is like the government welfare agency, and do what you have to do. And so these people were like, no, fuck that. We're going to our union office. So they went to their union office, and the union were like, we're not helping you. And the union are, let's say they're not a very stand-up.
Wasn't if they weren't vaccinated? Was that?
Yeah, it's relating to vaccination, yeah, and to any sort of forced testing or anything else like that. And the union basically said no, and they have just ignored them and closed the doors. So the construction guys have broken the doors, and then the cops came and shot at the construction guys. And then so yesterday all the construction guys turned up, but instead of 1,000 of them, there was about 20,000 people, 15,000 people.
Oh damn.
Yeah. And now in Victoria, the cops, like literally yesterday, were shooting, and they were not with normal lethal bullets, although the rubber bullets do kill as well, but they were shooting at them, and people basically overran the police a couple of times, and the cops had to run off and regroup and stuff like that. But today it should be on again. But I've just looked online just now, and there's been an earthquake in Victoria. So it's kind of interesting that that's popped out out of nowhere right at this time. So
I've heard of
I've
heard of directed energy weapons being possibly used to upset fault lines or something like that too.
Yeah. They use them to start bushfires as well, that's for sure.
Oh, I'm entirely convinced that those weapons are in use right now.
Oh, they are, without a doubt.
When all those California fires happened in California, you had buildings burnt down while trees are right next to it. Or like this one time, I saw this tree right next to a Dodge truck where the engine was melted, but the tree wasn't burnt. Like, how the do you melt a block engine?
Dude,
and it doesn't work
because the threat to anyone's existence is the fact that you could just be walking. I mean, you think you're escaping like into the desert, and
you'd be incinerated.
The laser just like wipes your trailer out, and no one ever knows why.
They neutralize you.
Yeah, it's a neutralizing thing, like, and it's invisible, so
yeah,
you can't see it.
I saw a picture one time where somebody had a drone photo, and they were saying that they took this during the California fires. It was like it almost looked like a beam. It was hard to tell if it was fake or real though. I looked at that picture for like 20 minutes, and I could not decide if it was real or fake.
I watched a video where it was in Kenner, Louisiana, and they said a generator caused a fire in an apartment complex, and the building looks similarly burnt down like directed energy. And there's a subsequent video that goes along with it where it shows the power, where it's like it looks like a beam is just carving through, but it's like power lines, so you can't really tell if it's the power lines or what. I don't know, man. That stuff is.
I also think
that has to be stopped. I mean, we're sitting around here. There's nothing to talk about if there's laser weapons out there, and like. I mean, there's no.
Well, they can't blatantly use them on us, or NASA would be burnt to the ground before they got back down to the ground. Like,
I'm saying but they're being used, and like no one that.
Yeah, but if it ever got found out, that's when the apocalypse would happen. If normal people found out that NASA was killing people, could you imagine? That would wake everybody up.
But I mean, then like. People would be fooled out of it somehow. I just feel like until it was them, and then you're gone. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, they're just gonna keep telling the lies over and over again. No matter if he show people straight to their face, here's the truth. They'll as long as they keep repeating the lies. I always think back to this Joe Rogan stand-up where at the beginning of it, where he talks about it's an old one where he still has hair a little bit, and he's saying people can forget everything within a generation, and we can just lie to everybody. And he explains to how they lie to
Yeah.
people right there at the beginning of the stand-up. Have
I
you
almost
seen
wonder
it?
if dude, sometimes I wonder if the Bible wasn't just written like 500 years ago. How would we really?
The Catholic version was written 500 years ago.
Well, I know, but I'm saying like we don't know if it's
Yeah.
like a simulated text. Like it's maybe we're made to think it's ancient, but it's not. Like, how do we know how ancient it really is? Because I'm saying with media control over people's minds, like how do you know that things you think are old aren't really
So
that
they
old?
reckon that there's a time frame in the 1800s where a couple of million orphans put back into the world, into civilization, and that's when they were retrained, because there's a standing history of a group called Tartaria. I don't know if you know about Tartaria and the Tartarians, and all of the buildings around my country and in your country and all around the world have this ancient technology, and no one can make sense of timelines of when these were built. So I believe that there's
You're talking about
definitely
the
history that's
flat,
been
like you've watched Flat Earth British guy, right?
no.
Yeah, you
I don't
haven't?
know who that is. Flat Earth British guy? Is that his name?
Or is it's just Flat Earth British is his channel, but he goes over a lot of that. He looks at historic pictures. Like he's got his videos are like 4 hours, like 2 hours to 4 hours long, and he shows you all the old history that's been like erased. And there's like he talks about a mud flood and like how these resets happen. You know, there's these resets where he shows these beautiful buildings and they're like all
See,
gone.
I wonder if they were man-made or God-made, or due to the age of the stars, or is there a reset with the stars? Is it done by man-made? See, when I posed this question a long time ago before I was labeled divisive in the flat Earth community. Um, when I attacked the A-map bad, and then I got the flat Earth asshole to attack the A-map, and we tried to get ODD to do it too, but he didn't want to switch teams. And anyway, where was I before?
Are you going to the Flat Earth Conference in October?
Fuck no.
I've got to go. I'm going. Just
forget what I was talking about.
Yeah.
What was I just talking about?
You're talking about
Tartaria and about
Oh yeah,
between
yeah, with Tartaria. I haven't researched into Tartaria really at all, but I know it's to be true, right? Because I've also where was I headed with the whole Tartaria thing though? There was a line of thought. Damn it.
You were talking about ODD, talking about there's a separation between two things of
the divisiveness.
Yeah, the divisiveness in Tartaria. Fuck.
And you were talking an arsehole of being pigeonholed for something.
Damn it.
You're a flat earth.
Yeah, but I remember being labeled divisive, and it was something back. Yeah, I remember. Keep going. I'll remember in a second. But yeah, with
Okay, so back to Tartaria, like literally none of these buildings make sense or line up in time. And then if you look at the Bibles don't really make sense. And if you look at a lot of the buildings, they'll have J as the first number, and they've changed the J for a 1, and then that's now all of a sudden it's 1998 and all that shit. And none of the things really make sense. And then we talked about
okay, I remember.
we talked about orphans, we talked about mud floods. Okay, go for it.
All right, the floods. So I posed the question, like I used to get like hundreds and hundreds of likes when I was still sharing the AE map, and then the minute I got divisive with it, it didn't. I posed the question like, what if God didn't flood the world? What if we flooded the world? Like, what if we caused it through some kind of technology? They set up, there was already like a new world order back then, and they were like, hey, we're just gonna kill all the surface people. And now, like, I think that maybe they're gonna like microwave us. Like maybe all the surface people are gonna get microwaved. Like, and then that's why you'll see all these stone people and buildings and stone civilizations, because over the course of time, everything that's non-electric turned to stone, and everything that was electric, it became life form organism again. So
Tell me, both of you have heard of the melted building theory.
Yeah, I've seen the melted bricks. They're like covered up cities and civilizations of like stone brick. Yeah.
There's a mountain is actually a melted building.
Yeah, I've seen that. It has steps and all kinds of windows and doors and panels on it. There's a channel that I follow called Wise Up. When I first started following him, he only had like 1,000 subscribers. I shared him on Facebook, but he does a lot of like archaeological stuff and things that eroded and like Stone Age type stuff. And he shows like how mountainsides used to be huge cities and that's mainly all he talks about on his channel. But it made me look at the whole world, even like a hillside, differently than I would. I look at it now as, could that been a city? Could that have been something? I look at things completely different now when I'm looking at a mountain or a hill. When you look at the Grand Canyon, you can tell that those canyons were sculpted. Water erosion doesn't create perfect 90-degree angles over and over and over again, perfectly on lines. 90-degree angles are created. That does not happen in nature. And it's all over the Grand Canyon, and it's like that in many parts of the world.
The only place that happens is in geology. Geology has one thing, and this is what spins me out about stuff. So this is called pyrite, right, or fool's gold, and this is almost a perfect square. You'll see that it actually has like a little pyramid on top of the square. I don't know if you guys can see that, but this thing here, right here, this was made by ground. Right? These actually come out. They come out and they look like almost like a foam that expands out of stuff. But then they form from the crackly shit and end up like that. And that's from fucking nature.
No, I'm saying like anything that is created from weather erosion. Yeah. You muted yourself again.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, the amazing the things that can come from nature, but yeah, I don't think that nature makes perfect squares either.
So if you're talking about melting stuff, then Atlantis must have got melted.
See, it could have been flooded. Atlantis could have been flooded. Tartaria could have been a mudslide, and then we're gonna get microwaved.
Like I'm telling you, we're headed towards an event. Whether like they said there's an earthquake at the moment in Victoria.
So have you seen the HAARP thing where if they turn it on, it can create earthquakes somewhere else, right? Have you ever seen that theory?
I've seen the one with what the Russians have got, like the sinkholes and things like that. And I've seen that they've got like earthquake technology and stuff like that. But I haven't seen that one you're talking about, Parp.
Tesla said that he didn't want to create something because he thinks they would use it for like world destruction. Like most of his technology thinks he didn't want to create. Now,
I'm starting to think that he was in on the destruction and knew exactly what this technology was going to do, and gave it to people to help take over the world. Because I mean, that's the end result of it.
Look at all the powerful evil people today, though. Did they die broken alone? Like it's a common theme that if you speak the truth, you're gonna die alone and by yourself, not have friends. That's a theme that's been echoed since the dawn of time. Those who speak the truth will be alone. Like I think Socrates or somebody like one of them Greek philosophers even said something of the sorts. So
the middle ground of that would be speak lies so you don't go poor, then just think the truth.
Yeah, so but right. All of Tesla's things.
I think that's what the secret.
There's a T-shirt in that. There's a T-shirt in that. Yeah.
I think that's what like the elite are doing. Is they're just telling. They know what's up.
Of course, yeah.
Telling you something else.
They know we see our own sun. They just tell us something else.
I have this theory, like, so back to the world. I think the world is like an eye, and then you have the saying "eye for an eye," and then money is mon eye. So money is an eye, and if you have the one eye, you get the other.
The eye of the beholder.
Like the money gets you the world. Eye for an eye.
And Monday is Moon Day.
It's out there, but it's
and moon.
The what?
Moon, money, and moon.
Oh, Mooney.
Yeah, all the days come from like a Greek pagan names, I think.
What?
like
And
all the
like
days of the
Sunday,
week.
Saturday,
Yeah.
Saturday.
What about the Gregorian calendar being created in 1538?
That spins me out. That stuff. That's interesting.
That just shows. I mean, oh man, I've got some theories that I'm not gonna
My theories on
spout right
calendars
here,
is
but
they created all the calendars to separate us from God,
all right,
separate our natural biological calendars with the stars and the sun and the moon, considering they're all circuits individually and collectively. So they teach us the heliocentric science to disconnect us from our stars, sun, and moon, that they are personal, that you are supposed to talk to them, wish upon a star, reflect with them as they reflect with you, to disconnect us from being connected with the creation. We're inside of one. We're connected to everything, each other. That's why even if you think the truth and lie, the thoughts are still going to connect with the ether.
wow,
So,
profound.
no matter what you do, the truth.
Now here's the biggest
Yeah.
question: Who
Yeah.
are we always say they, but like who are they?
The ones with all the control, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Do you believe in white hats? What about you? Do you all believe in white hats? That there are white hats? If there's dark hats, do you believe there's a good side and a bad side to the elite? That's the question.
I think there are. Oh man, I think there are guilty consciences that like start coming clean. But oh man, white hats?
Yeah, have you never heard of white hats or the term white hats or good, like, so you got a Masonic checkerboard, you got the white checkerboard and you got a black checkerboard. You got a positive light, you got a negative light, the battle of good and evil balance. You got two sides too.
Well, I was thinking this the other day. They're always saying positive and negative, but thinking positively, what is positive to you, what makes you happy and helps you out, could be negative for somebody else. So they're really like if
I believe a lot of the evil stuff is cut off through chain of command. So like if they're doing evil, they're unaware that they're doing evil, and only the person that's directly connected to the evil action is consciously aware that it's evil. Everybody else is cut off through chain of command. It's kind of like the 9/11 thing. I honestly believe they tried to clear the building before blowing it up. They really tried to get everybody out of there before they decided to start blowing it up, so they were consciously clear. The people that died didn't get out of there from one thing or another, and they were trying to honestly clear their conscience of murder, but that didn't happen. Like I believe they don't, like with the vaccines, and stuff, they tell you the truth barely once. They tell it to you once, and then they tell you all the lies, and then it's your choice not to take it or take it, and then you take it on your own. It's on you, not on them. It's kind of like they're morally putting themselves out of God's harm, and by making it the choice.
Yeah, that's a satanic thing. That's a spellcraft thing. That part of everything is about disclosure. And what you guys were saying earlier, it's all that stuff as well, right? It's
you
all in
put it
plain
right on
sight,
TV,
and it's right in front of you.
You put all the stuff right on TV, and then they put the ball in your court, essentially.
Yeah, like we went and attacked Afghanistan as our people and our soldiers. Like they made us go fight people that we don't know. Not like they didn't do it, we did it. Like so.
Yeah.
You know what question I always
inaction is still action. Yeah.
When you bring up conspiracy stuff, is everyone asks the same question: what are you going to do about it? Like, what do you do?
You be consciously aware, and then you know not to have your family and members go participate in war and make them. The war is in the minds of the young. That's where the war is going to be won, and that's where they win. That's where core curriculum beats us. That's where the mass indoctrinations beat us. Like my kids have all kinds of leftist propaganda on all their apps that come in commercials, and so so we just individually have to look at that person that makes eye contact with you and is open ears. You just have to wait for that person, because this is an individual journey that we're on at the end of the day as well. Like we're all in the same like greater good, right? But we're still individually.
But what if
having
we don't
this
have
journey?
The power? Like we don't have the power. What if like instead of 1 million people watching like a Netflix show, we're just watching us talk right now? Like how many people would like? I mean,
direct action.
Well, the truth would never be
A lot of people would
televised,
cut
though.
us off, like
So
just shut
yeah.
the thing off
Oh, this
immediately.
conversation would have been over a long
But
time ago.
but I mean, there would be people that would be sticking around. You know, it's like we could affect more people, but I feel like we're going to be blocked. We're never going to reach that exposure that like evil gets.
Well, they
You know,
have people
stuff
that
gets a lot
they
of
have the
exposure.
gatekeepers. That's what people like Joe Rogan are for. They talk about the taboo subjects, but question everything but outer space. And then they have the midway gatekeepers, and then they have the gatekeepers in our communities too. They push like the fake flat Earth models, and
Yep.
then they have people that continually push one narrative and don't talk about other things. There's all kinds of like shills, gatekeepers, harassers. I have people to be your friend forever, and then all of a sudden just start fighting with you every day. I've had all kinds of situations.
And
where
they're
the truth
motivated by money, right? I mean, aren't
Yeah,
shills getting paid?
Yeah, that's what shill is. They're shilling. They're getting paid
Yeah,
to lie to
shill.
people. So
Yeah, there's
I
a
didn't know
lot
that
of
about
that.
Shield. Yeah,
We're all unpaid here, obviously.
yeah,
100%.
I'm still unmonetized. So,
Oh
but
yeah, you lost your monetization a long time ago.
but it's been a couple hours. Y'all got any closing words or any platforms you want to share before we go?
ODD was talking about strong fin.
Strong fin. What is that?
Strong. Oh man. Oh, this is all right.
Oh, you got another.
We got the official mascot of
There we go. So
Flat
what you're
Earth
saying?
dog.
ODD was talking about strong fin.
He mentioned it on. He had a podcast of his own, and hold on.
I haven't talked to him in quite some time. He blocked me on Facebook a few years ago. So I questioned him hard. We used to actually talk and have a back and forth in questions. So
I got to look it up. It's something that he mentioned, an alternative platform that he really likes. I don't know if he's a shill. You know what I wonder is
I do.
How come all these guys are rappers?
Oh yeah, they all have a
called
persona. He looks like Fred Durst. He's a character that draws people towards him. He's a really cool guy that makes really nice CGI videos that are all based with Masonic depictions and videos, and he worships them.
Eric D.A.B.S has like the eye in his videos.
Yeah, D.A.B.S a clown.
And he's
they're all very, very good at what they do. D.A.B.S, he's not intelligent enough to write that book on his own. He's just not, and he has no observations of his own. They're all repeated things, and
that's true. You have a point there.
The whole pizza movement was a very controlled psyop. See, the religious side of Flat Earth was building, and Flat Earth was actually gaining steam before the movement, and they took the religious side away from it by making. See, if you have a finite model, right, with everything's got an answer in a concrete wall, a concrete dome, a concrete, just like the globe model, it's concretized. You have a physical thing for everything. That's why they do it, because they can scare you with resource scarcity. If you're on a pizza model, you're still part of a system environment that has resource scarcity. So,
are you familiar with Bob Tuskin? Heard of that guy?
But what I was saying is it takes away the divine principles, and like you have a lot of guys like ODD and they don't like the God side. Like you're very resistant on it, but just by certain things he says, and anybody that's pushing that map, especially the big channels that people stumbled upon, to me those are the obvious liars, and they're really good at their job. I really like ODD. He's a really good nice person, and he plays his character role very, very well.
And his music is
it's okay. Yeah.
I don't know. It's pretty good actually.
So, yeah, it's all right.
It's super sad. It's not happy, that's for sure.
But I mean, we try to get him to hop the fence on pushing. Just stop pushing the model, right? Like we don't have to claim a model. You don't have to be a square earther, but we can just stick to things we do know, flat and stationary, and how the lights that we see, observe, behave, and how that alone debunks it. We don't need to start making up lies. See, I don't really share square earth. I don't bring it up too much. people ask me what I think. I believe I share it with them. And if you want to have a debate about it, we want to go back and forth, I'll explain my reasons and stances why. But I don't get into the whole shape. And the reason I do like Square Earth is because I can be like, well, I just use the same map you use. It's an easy out when you're having a conversation with a normie, with somebody who doesn't. Then we're like, well, what about the map? It's that ice wall, and then you start have to saying, well, the southern tips of these islands are twice the distance that they normally are, and then they start arguing about things that you can't prove outside of your experience. But if you're saying, hey, everything I have is exactly what you have, it's just flat and stationary, which is what I'm arguing to begin with, is just flat and stationary, and the lights are local. And then Square Earth keeps that domain same for me, regardless, because it's the same as what we experience, is the same what we use, same what we were taught in school. That's my whole thing on Square Earth. It's what's on the chalkboard. It's so you went from a sphere to a circle. I always say, well, you weren't thinking outside the box. Like it's easy to like get a mind to. That's why I think the psyop went from a sphere to circular, because it was like, oh, the mind was easy to go from one place to another. So
yeah,
cool.
Everything it's like around positioning those sort of things about that one step removed. Look at the COVID experience and the flatten the 2 years everything to give up.
You might have to cut your video off.
Yeah, you're breaking in and out one more time.
Okay, yeah.
For your last words.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry.
So I was just saying that everything is about a condition of mind, and it's all about the one step removed. So with this play that we're going through right now with COVID, it was 2 weeks curve, and now years later, and we're still here. And each of the things that we gave away as a freedom was one of those things where it's like, it's just a temporary thing. It's just what we're. But each one of them is a gradual. Speaking to a guy yesterday in Florida, and he said that over the clubbing. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing? I couldn't believe that he said he was in a nightclub on Saturday night. And I have to wear a mask to my front bin if I was going to the bin, is the legal way to be in our country at the moment.
Jesus.
And it's
well, I think that they're attacking you guys because Australians are just such damn nice people that they're the easier ones to.
Well, actually, they had.
Stuff.
I don't want to
like law abiding.
I run into a lot of liberal leftist Australians that I think that are realizing that liberalism minded has poisoned their society.
How many liberal Australians are there?
There's a lot. Oh,
fucked, way too many. Yeah, they're really and they're opinionated, but in a way where it's like, I don't know if you guys have heard of tall poppy, but the idea is that if you stand up and you have an opinion, everyone wants to cut you down, back down to our level. No one's allowed to stand up. No one's allowed to speak their mind.
That Ardern chick there's something definitely wrong with her, man.
See, I didn't realize how many Australian liberals there were until Jim Jeffries. I realized how liberal he was, and then I would constantly run into little arguments with like random truther Australians, and they would come at me from this super liberal perspective, and I'm like, are we a part of the same movement? I believe in freedom. It's like that. Leftists are completely authoritarian, like what we were talking about earlier. Their God is the authorities. That's where I think the flat Earth thing is. Our authority comes from God, as it says in the Constitution. And they back when they knew the Earth was flat and thought the Earth was flat. And if you know that you're created, the world's created for you, you're your creator. Nobody can tell you anything. And then when you get disconnected from the creation, the creator, and you being in charge of your road, you start allowing people to tell you what needles they can put in your body, what's good and bad for them, what's morally right and wrong.
Well, we're all paying taxes too that aren't justified.
Yeah, slave money. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah, and that's the thing, right? It's a thing called locus of control. And when we give away our locus of control and we no longer take personal responsibility, then it becomes a victim identity that the collective live in. And they just blame someone else for their fucking problem as opposed to taking direct action. And I think that's where the world is right now. Everyone's just pointing fingers at some other person, but it's really their own, it's same as our view of the world. We've all gone out and done research because we're fucking curious and interested. And that's different to what a lot of the majority are.
Cool. Well, we should have a podcast again.
Yeah,
let's do it.
Yeah, I want to get Chuck on here, your buddy.
Yeah.
and he's got a bunch of pictures. And if you got a computer, we all have cameras. We can screen share and screen share our stuff next time. We can make it actual astronomy instead of just flat Earth chat. We can bring all of our pictures and stuff to the table and get some more people inside here. And yeah,
that was really cool. I got some really good nuggets off you today, Zach. Thank you much, man. There was really nice stuff you said. Buying is based out of fear was one of the big ones for me for today. I really enjoyed that, and it's an interesting framework to operate out of.
Yeah, I mean, the only time I've ever lied is when I'm afraid. Like, otherwise, I just never lie. Like, because usually I'm not afraid of anything. You know, like the fearful people are, obviously the most disingenuous ones. I mean, you're afraid. Being afraid is like being afraid to question something, or being afraid to speak your mind, or being afraid to be on a podcast, or
embarrassed. Or be embarrassed.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, my goal is to just not be afraid of anything.
It's a tall task, but yeah, if you only fear God.
I only fear lasers. That's my only fear right now.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of those damn things, man.
Oh, I was bringing back
back to take me out right through the window. Like,
one more thing, as we were talking about the lasers, there was another theory as they were talking about the energy weapons destroying the homes. What about the smart meters? Have you seen the theories on that? That smart meters are causing the house fires? Have you seen that?
I have heard that one. That one's. I feel like that could probably be independently.
I know somebody who built the smart houses. He said they're extremely volatile. Like they can, stuff like that happens. Like where the smart system will catch on fire, overheat.
I really, man, I don't know. Look.
But if they can do that, that means you could probably set them to do that. And they have a controlled database where it comes from. Like somebody can control that.
But I feel like a smart meter, like setting on fire, the fire would always be starting from the smart meter, and you could tell.
No, but you're changing the settings on the house where like the energy level would go way up, and then it would cause overheat and fire.
Oh, like just cause.
Exactly. You can change the settings at their house and be like jack them to 100.
Make it resistant.
Yeah, and boom, fire.
A lot of parts of the house, and it's fucking crazy.
So
I got on that note, I got a lot of stuff to learn from you.
Well, I have to thank my wife for everything that I've learned.
Mate, like Preston, you're just a well of information. I learned heaps of you today, so I really appreciate your time.
Yeah,
I'd like to learn. I'd love to talk more about Australia too, and I think it's really important to kind of unite everybody across the water for sure. I mean, the Western world is really like the one under attack right now. I think it's just us.
We're the last free culture.
America is the only country in the world with a Second Amendment.
Yeah, and first and second. Yeah. Well, there's some free speech countries, I think, but like maybe one or two. But yeah, I'm gonna get going. It was a great talk. I'm gonna try to do the flat Earth talk every other week. And every other week is going to be a different topic. So every other week we'll do flat Earth. So this Tuesday in 2 weeks, if you want to come back, we'll have Chuck on or whoever else we can get, us three, and we'll just keep adding people to the flat Earth chat.
Maybe we have ODD on.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to have him on. I think he's a nice guy. He knows I think he's pushing the shield map, and I've always told him that before he stopped talking to me. So
it's all good. The map. Yeah, I mean, I guess you just have to let go of that. I mean, I guess.
Yeah, if somebody shows you something that's evidently wrong, you should stop promoting it, in my opinion. It's just the same thing as globe science and movies putting the spinning ball in front of you at the beginning of a map. He's putting this map in front of his videos, and it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And he's accusing them of doing what he's doing. And
I agree with you. I mean, you're.
So, yeah. If anybody wants to go look at Square Earth stuff, if you go to my YouTube playlist channels, you go to YouTube alternate channels. There's a guy named Richard Kahlberg, and there's a Square Earth Science, I think, Square Earth Science, something like that. Those two pages are really good at Square Earth stuff if you want to check them out. and the archaeological stuff, Wise Up. Check those channels out. They'll give
So
you
it's
something to look
the
at.
square Earth. Is
Cool.
that goes hand in hand with the Pac-Man
Pac-Man, yep.
theory? Yeah. Okay.
Right. That's
Where you
what
just-
people have trouble grasping because it's something they have to believe in. So
Because it seems like magical, which it is.
yeah, right.
That's what
It's a
that's-
divine principle that the other models take out.
All right,
So
all right, guys.
Yeah.
Well, I'll take a bow, and it was really nice to meet you, Nate.
yeah.
Cheers, Zach.
Cheers.
I'm gonna come see you, man. I'm gonna come to Australia.
I'd love that. Please come. You're more than
All
welcome, both of you guys.
Hey, you can come here too.
For sure.
Well, see you
I
guys
love
in a
it.
couple weeks.
I'll help you buy a ticket. I don't know your monetary situation, but I got a couple $100 on a ticket for you.
Thanks, boys. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for watching Deceivers and Believers. That ends show 2. Cheers.
All right, bye.